As you may or may not know, the Philippines was a colony of Spain for more than 300 years, so it's reasonable to expect that there would be some similarities between the two countries. Now, I've lived in Spain for a few years already, and there are some things that really remind me of living in the Philippines. These are just general things, of course, because there are always exceptions to the rule, but these observations are general things that I saw that were similar between life in Spain and life in the Philippines. First up, the Spanish, just like the Filipinos, have strong family ties. I always see them out together, from grandmothers to grandfathers, and aunts and uncles and grandchildren. They're always out together. The grandparents sometimes take the grandkids for a walk, and I'm assuming that just like in the Philippines, the grandparents help out in taking care of the kids while the parents are out working or otherwise busy. The Spanish visit their parents to have lunch once in a while. They call to check on them, just checking to see if they're okay. And also, like many Filipinos, a lot of Spanish people also live with their parents well into adulthood. The second thing is that, like Filipinos, the Spanish have long meals. They have long lunch breaks. A lot of them have 2-hour lunch breaks at work. They have what they call sobremesa, although I don't think there's an exact translated term in English or in Tagalog. Sobremesa is basically after meal conversation or the time spent lingering at the table after either lunch or dinner. One time I was invited to have Sunday lunch with a Spanish family, and after eating, we just stayed at the table, having coffee, dessert, some kind of alcohol, just chatting. It reminded me so much of home, where we spend hours just talking after a meal over even more and more food and sometimes alcohol as well. And speaking of alcohol, another thing is that we have a similar drinking culture. Here it's very common to see big groups of friends and family having beer or wine together. And just like in the Philippines, drinking here is a social event. Also, they like to have something to eat when they're drinking. This is their tapas culture, where they usually have a tapa or a small plate of food with their wine or their beer. In the Philippines, we have our pulutan, or sometimes we call it pika pika. Also, when they're out drinking with their friends, they can get quite loud, just like Filipinos. I guess this combination of friends, food, and alcohol makes people tend to laugh and speak even more loudly. One other thing, in restaurants, tipping here is optional. I mean, if you are happy with the service or if you're feeling particularly generous, you can leave a tip. But it's not mandatory. It's pretty much the same in the Philippines. I mean, sometimes service charge is added on, but usually you just leave a tip if you feel like it, and the amount is basically up to you. It's not like a fixed amount like it's expected in other countries. The next thing involves food as well. One thing that I really like here that is similar to what we have back home is that they love garlic. In fact, they are the number 2 exporter of garlic in the world. In fact, also, Victoria Beckham, the former Spice Girl, was once rumored to have said that the Spanish smell of garlic. Well, she later denied this report, but the fact remains that the Spanish do love their garlic just as much as we do. Garlic can be found in many iconic Spanish dishes, such as gazpacho or their cold tomato soup. It's also found in sopa de ajo or garlic soup, and it's also found in gambas al ajillo or garlic shrimps. One other thing I noticed that here at home, they also use what we call chinelas or slippers. Here they call it zapatillas de estar en casa or house slippers. These are usually gifts they receive. Sometimes they get these gifts from their parents or grandparents, specifically maybe their mother or their grandmother, because it's a very practical gift. Although in the Philippines, our slippers are more the flip-flop style, here they are more the slip-on things because, it's more comfortable and cozy, especially during the colder winter months. One other thing that is similar between the two countries is the language. No, we don't really speak Spanish in the Philippines, but there are so many Spanish words that are very similar to those in Tagalog. In fact, there are even more words that are similar between Spanish and the other languages in the southern parts of the Philippines. Well, I only speak Tagalog, so I'm still surprised at how many words we have in common. There's some words that we already know come from, from Spanish, such as mesa or lunes, but I still continue to encounter words which surprise me are actually Spanish. Some of these words I thought were totally Tagalog. If you want to know more about these Filipino words that you might be surprised actually come from Spanish, do click on the video you see on your screen.